So we've talked about policies. What about tools? What tools are available for me to be able to enforce these policies? We want to look at 5 tools to help you keep your hybrid work secure. And the first thing we'll look at is actually not one specific tool, but a concept within Microsoft 365 and the Microsoft 365 suite. And it's the concept of collaboration and management. And yes, we all already have Teams, and we all use it for our meetings, and we all know that we can have chat with our teammates. But Microsoft 365 is so much more than just Teams and the Office suite. It's a secure hub for your corporate data, and you can allow things like whiteboard sessions and Teams meetings where we can actually have multiple people collaborating and working on a whiteboard at the same time. We can do the same thing with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Office documents. But we can do a lot more than that. We can apply governance and management technologies, such as Azure Information Protection, to label and classify your documents and apply rules and restrictions based on those labels. And so, for instance, maybe I have a top secret label, and documents that are in a top secret label can only be accessed from specific corporate-owned devices. Maybe I have a internal use only label, and documents that have that internal use only label can only be emailed to internal team members, not to external people from outside my company. Maybe I have documents that can be accessed from personal devices, such as sales and marketing documents, but documents that cannot be accessed from those devices. And so I can enroll employee devices into an endpoint manager solution, which can then allow me to apply restrictions to how corporate data works within that device, while leaving personal data on that device completely untouched. I can deploy things like Windows 10 Enterprise coupled with tools such as Defender for Endpoint to protect corporate devices from malware and other threats. And I can use tools such as the threat assessment tools within Microsoft 365 to proactively hunt for threats that may be affecting my employees. So M365 has a large suite of tools that go far beyond just Teams and that can empower my team to safely work in a hybrid environment. One such tool is a Power Platform. And here we want to talk about that aspect of modernizing legacy processes. Because as we mentioned, we can use tools such as Power Apps and Power Automate to, for instance, build a completely digital leave request system or a completely digital IT help desk for my employees who are working from home to be able to notify my IT team if they're having issues connecting to a certain tool or accessing a certain service. We can use these tools to connect to M365 data and services and leverage the security that's already built into the M365 data and services, or we can also use them to connect to external third-party tools and apps. And so the Power Platform is a very, very powerful tool for us to be able to modernize my legacy processes. And we have a very clear example of that at Inova. We received a special mention in our Puerto Rico office in the Partner of the Year Awards for the work we did in helping to modernize an insurance agency's internal requisitions process. So they have requisitions to be able to pay out insurance claims, and that requisitions process used to run in pen and paper. It was then shifted to Excel sheets, but it got way slowed down, and they were able to shift to Power Apps and reclaim some of the speed that they had when they were all in person in the office and actually be even faster than the legacy pen and paper process. They were able to reduce and speed up that approvals process by almost 10 times their speed before the Power App solution. So it's another tool for us to look at and consider. And all of these Microsoft 365 tools may already be included in my Microsoft 365 licensing. So it's just a matter of talking to your Inova representative, to your partner, and understanding what is included, what isn't, and how you can start to use it. Another tool that we can really leverage is the public cloud. And so, for instance, we can start to migrate my workloads to be able to provide higher availability to my employees. Maybe I have an ERP that my accountants connect to, but handling the pressure of RDS and AD and a domain controller and the actual ERP and maybe additional workloads from people on premise plus the people that are working externally, it's too much for either my server or my ISP or some other bottleneck in my on-premise environment. Well, one potential alternative would be to migrate this workload onto the cloud, where our capacity can increase and decrease and automatically scale so your workloads remain performant while not breaking your budget. We can securely deploy these applications through hybrid networks using things such as Azure VPN Gateway and ExpressRoute so that we don't necessarily expose these workloads to the internet if we don't want to. We can control and protect traffic with services such as Azure Firewall, Azure Application Gateway, Azure DDoS protection, and more. And we can securely monitor and hunt for threats across both our cloud and on-premise environments using technology such as Azure Sentinel. So one potential avenue for empowering this hybrid work is definitely the cloud. In fact, a very simple example to look at the cloud and to look at migration and moving to the cloud is simply our legacy file servers. Maybe we have a legacy file server running an old OS that we periodically add more storage to, and it's sitting there in my data center. And maybe employees remotely have to access files from that file server, but it's slow because of a bottleneck that I have on my ISP. My speed is only 100 megabits per second. It's only 1 gigabit per second, and that causes a bottleneck when I have a large amount of users trying to access these files. Well, we could look at services such as Azure Files to deploy these file shares in the cloud, where we have access to 10, 20, 30 gigabit per second connections. The only bottleneck there, of course, would be the end user's internet connection. And it may provide a more performant, more secure environment. In fact, for organizations with very, very large volumes of unstructured data, documents, pictures, audio, video, that may require additional horsepower to index and organize this data, solutions such as Azure Files can be coupled with tools such as Solvex Media Shelter, a tool created by one of our partners that uses artificial intelligence to classify and index your documents by topic, for instance. And they're using it in places such as courthouses to be able to record meetings and then be able to index what part of the meeting, the specific timestamp, where specific topics were discussed. So if a lawyer or a judge needs to review and say, hey, when was Exhibit B discussed in the meeting, then Media Shelter will tell them it was discussed in hour 1, minute 13, second 35. So these are all tools that are available for you to be able to partially migrate your data and provide additional tools, flexibility, and power to your hybrid workers. But what if your concern is completely securing, completely almost stopgapping the environment that your employees work on? Well, Azure Virtual Desktop may be a solution for you. This tool allows you to provide your users with essentially a digital desktop. They will connect their personal or corporate-owned computer to a computer that actually lives in the cloud and that they would actually carry out their work in. These virtual desktops can be provisioned with all the applications and tools your employees need to work, and the underlying infrastructure even scales to meet demand. So if at 8 a.m. you only have 2 or 3 employees connected, but by noon you'll already have all 100 employees connected, then the technology can automatically scale during the day so that you're not paying for 100 users of capacity at the time where you don't need 100 users of capacity. Access to these virtual desktops can be controlled through tools such as Azure Active Directory, which can be hardened with technologies such as conditional access, which can apply additional restrictions to login based on risk factors, and privileged identity management, which can control and limit the access administrators have right until the time that they need it. And so, for instance, an admin doesn't have admin powers 24/7. They would only have admin powers when they need to do admin works, or admin work, I should say. And that allows me to minimize the risk footprint of that identity. All of this can be coupled with Azure Virtual Desktop to provide a completely secure, all-in-one digital workspace for your employees. What's more, the RDS, the messy RDS details, is completely taken care of by Microsoft, and so you don't have to worry about deploying gateways or scaling those gateways or RDP ports and whether or not they're exposed to the internet. They never are in Azure Virtual Desktop. You can simply worry about providing your employees with the tools they need to do the work they do best. So how can how can Inova Solutions help you? Well, we understand that hybrid work is the next big disruption, and we want to empower your business to make hybrid work a business advantage. And so we can help ensure that your organization is ready for hybrid work through services such as the Collaboration and Meeting Modern Workplace, where we look at how you can use Teams and the Teams suite of tools. So not just Teams for meetings, but also Teams for hosting files, for embedding Power Apps, for connecting with Microsoft Power Automate, and look at how this can help modernize your business processes and ensure that your employees can properly communicate and collaborate regardless of where they are. Services such as the threat assessment, which helps teach your organization about the security tools within Microsoft 365 and how you can use them to protect your corporate data. Tools such as, or services such as workload migration, where we can help identify how to migrate your applications, your servers, your file servers, whatever workload you may be looking to migrate to the cloud. Our ongoing managed services that can help ensure that your employees have the support that they need in case they have an unexpected issue crop up. And of course, by working with Inova, you also have access to our network of partner organizations and their specific and specialized, I should say, tools for hybrid work. So really, what's next? What can you do? Well, if you want to explore or try Azure or Microsoft 365 at no cost, feel free to book a 15-minute call with one of our experts. The link is going to be shared in the chat. In this discovery call, we can talk about your specific needs. There's no cost to it. And we can even talk about a trial for your organization so that you can play around with these tools without any additional cost. There are, of course, a number of additional learning tools that are available and at your disposal. I want to highlight one specifically for Azure. I'm going to stop sharing and reshare so that I can share my entire screen with you. And the tool that I want to highlight is called Azure Charts. Now, of course, my specialty is in Azure, not in M365. There are a number, of course, of M365 tools as well. But Azure Charts is a wonderful, wonderful tool that can help you understand the many, many services available in Azure and how they fit within your business. And there's two areas that I want to highlight here. First, in this solutions dropdown at the top, the Solution Explorer, where you can start clicking on technologies and you'll get suggested solutions. So say I want to move an application to an Azure App Service plan. I can click on App Service and I'll be able to see different suggestions of solutions. And these suggestions actually link me to architectures that I can use for my solutions to be able to perform that migration. Similarly, under the learning dropdown, the study map is a very, very powerful tool where if I want to learn about a specific technology and I click on it, I'll see what other students that are also learning about that technology are looking into. And I can even clear this selection and start filtering by role to be able to understand what technologies I should learn if I want to say know how to deploy Kubernetes on Azure. And there are many, many more of these tools that we can make available to you and your team to ensure that you can make the most out of hybrid work and out of the tools that are available in the Microsoft ecosystem.